All right. Good evening, folks. Sorry for the delay. It's just been one of those days. Welcome to Monday Night Law on Kirk's Law Corner. It has been an extremely busy day. Spent a little bit of part of the day down at the Idaho Capitol, bearing witness to some what I would consider, in my mind, what I think is some criminal conduct by a certain committee. But I think our Idaho representative there, she's on point. She's not having a hard time articulating her things and giving rebuttal and calling them out. Now, again, like the rest of us, it's one thing to have this knowledge and be able to try to defend yourself there on the spot, but we need to go with the criminal complaints. And then, of course, the rest of the day has been on the phone. So it's been a very, very busy, long day. And I'm here. Thank you all for being here. And especially those on YouTube, been waiting patiently for a little bit. So the book called The Authority of Law. Well, have you read it? To summarize it, where is the authority? You pull me off my thoughts, but that's okay. Facebook. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Diesel D's. How you doing, brothers? Sister. Chad, how you doing, brother? Julie, good to see you on here. Hey, Troy. And over here on Ubi Dooby Doob, let's see, we got Karen's here. Sorry, I had to. Love you, Karen. Looks like Fix It Fast is on there doing his thing. Jacqueline, you're here. Who's Scott? Scott, you're on here. Good to see you, brother. Constitution Scott, you're on here, and I was referring to Scott Rector there. Let's see who else is on here. Stephanie C, Karen, Kat G, Shabby Maverick, Dana, good to see you on here. And of course, Robert, I see you. And of course, Jacqueline. Yep. Oh, there's Cece from Alaska. Busy watering her self-sustaining food garden out there. Well, I'm not absolutely prepared to go over the authority of law right this second, but hey, Bobby, how you doing? A brief summation is be it enacted by the legislature. Okay, it has to be enacted by the legislature, has to say it. And then we have to comprehend subject matter jurisdiction. Does the legislature have subject matter jurisdiction to make that act? Do they have the personal jurisdiction? They have to have both. Okay. And this is the thing, is this subject matter comes from the Constitution itself. But see, they've lied, right? Even right in the Mason's Manual Legislative Procedure, it says, oh, well, if the Constitution doesn't say we don't have this power, then that means that we do. No, that's not how contract law works. Receiving their just powers under the consent of the governed. That consent is given by Constitution. So if it's not in the Constitution expressly delegating a certain power, you don't have that power. That's false. And I'm talking the part that's false is what the Mason's Manual said, that, oh, well, if it doesn't say that we don't, then we do. And again, I always go back to my analogy of, I hire some man to paint my house, and we discuss the color and, the body and the trim and what colors I want it. And, and Does that mean now he has the power to, well, because the contract doesn't say he can't paint my fence, that he can't cut my trees down, that he can't take my car for a joyride, and he can't rape my wife or son or daughter. Well, it doesn't say that I can't, but it doesn't say that you can. So what makes you think that you can? Back to our going joke is, Chris and I's joke was, can you point to that emolument and grunt? Just point at it and grunt for us. Where is that subject matter jurisdiction delegated? And then will we have to remember the personal jurisdiction of government as a whole over corporations, public and private. That's the personal jurisdiction. Those acting in interstate and foreign commerce, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3. Federalist 45 talks about this. So if you don't have subject matter jurisdiction, and you either personal jurisdiction or subject matter jurisdiction, it's not valid. It's not a valid act. And then what I've recently discovered here in Idaho is that our legislature continues to make amendments to the Idaho Code. The Idaho Code is not the law. Well, the Idaho Code is it's prima facie evidence of the law. Great. So the legislature has to make amendments to the law first in order for the Code Commission to copy the law and put it in their Idaho Code. Otherwise, it's not law. It's not even color of law. It's worse than color of law. That's that pretended acts of legislation the Declaration of Independence talks about. And so this is the key. The Treatise on Arrest and False Imprisonment and the Authority of Law, they go together. Okay, Charles Wiseman wrote both of those, and they go hand in hand. They go together in conjunction. So this is what will help understand or comprehend the authority of law. When you read both of them together, this is when you get the picture of personal jurisdiction, subject matter jurisdiction, and the part of the Law of Nations written by Amr D. Vattel, Book 1, Chapter 3, Section 34. The question was asked, does the legislature have the authority to alter the fundamental law or the Constitution? And to answer that question in Section 34 is no. No, it's off limits. It was created and laid down before government was instituted, which government was instituted to secure that law, our rights as the law. And fundamentally and principally, all of government was instituted to defend, period. Never to be offensive, but defensive. No prosecutions by information. No, 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 no. This goes all the way back to the Magna Carta of 1215. To no man will we sell, to no man will we deny, nor delay rights or justice. And this is why in the Treatise on Arrest and False Imprisonment, it talks about that the legislative mills pass all this crap. How is anybody going to know what's lawful and what's not, or legal in one town to the next, or one state to the next? Hey, Michael, how you doing, brother? I see you pop in there. So we have to comprehend the common law is the real law. Now, some parts of it we say, okay, well, lex non scripta, the unwritten law. That's right. It's supposed to be common sense, self-evident that among these rights these unalienable rights is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And when we say liberty, there's lots of liberty under the term liberty, like liberty of conscience. We're at liberty to think for ourselves. And no man or set of men have the lawful authority to deprive another man of his right to conscience, the right to think for himself, and the right to be free and equal. And if you're going to be in government, well, now you're the servant. Now you're trying to dictate to your masters, your boss. Like, again, I go with McDonald's here. You're hired as a fry cook. You sign the employment contract, and you're instructed to go make French fries. And you go outside and you're playing around on your phone, shooting shit with your friends out in the parking lot. You're supposed to be inside making French fries. How long are you going to work there? Not very long at all, right? You're going to get fired. Let's apply that principle to government. This is what we talked about, emoluments violations. We cannot pay these people to trespass the law. We cannot pay these people to not perform the duties of under their emolument, to discharge the duties of that office. It's a discharge because they're receiving taxpayer dollars, right? Charging. So they have to discharge, offset that gain with a loss. That loss is a loss of their time and their energy and performing the duties under the terms and conditions of the contract, which is the Constitution. In Article 6, Clause 3, we the people require that all individuals or members of the legislative branch, executive branch, and judicial branch, both state and federal, shall, that's required, mandatory, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution. Support it, not interpret it, not subvert it. Period. Table legs support the tabletop. The table legs do not dictate what's on top of the table. They're there to support it, not subvert it. Okay, so are they in violation of the emoluments of their office? Well, then that's grounds to be fired because you're not discharging the duties of that office in accordance with the law that we said you had. The scope and authority of that emolument comes from the Constitution, not from the code, not from a statute. It comes from the Constitution itself. That's right. Fire them all, right? Right. Through an Article 5 convention. There can be amendments made to the federal Constitution, which is delegates. Okay. This is where the 16th Amendment has subverted that. There's supposed to be delegates sent, right, that are selected by the House of Representatives for a specific purpose. The states go and assemble. Okay. Now, the key part of all that is after the Article 5 convention, it has to be submitted to the states to be put to a vote to be ratified. Or does it become law? This is the problem with the original, or the fraudulent 13th and 14th amendments, when they're supposed to be articles in addition to. They were not properly done. They're not ratified. They weren't done right. And like it says, there shall be no fraud or trickery or the act is void. And then it wasn't done through a constitutional convention, was it? Nope. Okay, so what do we do about it? What's the remedy and relief from the Constitution itself? Because the Constitution itself's law of the land, due process of law. Where does due process of law come from? First, the common law. Well, that's kind of why we have this book here, right? Right here. Lex Parliamentaria Americana, Luther Cushing's. This is parliamentary practice from the common law. And yes, the English common law, as well as the American common law. And the English common law is no longer in effect in America. We have the American common law, which, again, I've showed we have adopted starting clear back in 1606 with the first charter of Virginia. Explain this in episode 1 in the educational series. So the fact is we adopted certain parts of the English common law, and we started creating the American common law. Wait a minute. But in England, the common law is made through stare decisis, case law. Yeah, we're not a monarchy here, and that's part of what we changed in our form of government, that the judicial branch does not have the power to make law. Whoops. So, case law, the law of the case, would only apply to who? The parties to the case, because that's a contract. That's a resolution. So, in our form of government, the judicial branch doesn't have the power to make law. So what is the common law again? Well, I don't know. That would be that lex non scripta again, right straight from American Jurisprudence, Volume 16, Constitutional Law, Section 100, that bills of rights and those merely declaratory of the common law. Oh, it's just merely declaratory of the common law. Again, the legislature cannot make due process of law, and if the statutes that they make can only be merely declaratory of the common law. They can't alter that. It's fundamental. It came laid down long before we instituted government. Our rights are long antecedent to the formation of the state of being the body politic, government. Okay? So now we know that. We know that's a lie. Because we're not a monarchy here. We're not an aristocracy. So what is the common law again? Our rights are the common law, declarations. And see, we think, well, I think that a lot of people think that the rights, your right to freedom of speech, right to peaceably assemble, the right to due process and all that. But what about the right to a republican form of government? One of those rights is that no man or set of men are entitled to separate emoluments or privileges from the community. That's a right. It is enumerated in the Virginia Declaration of Rights. It's also in the Texas Constitution. period. And we all know about delegations of power, and that one branch of the government cannot exercise powers that properly belong to another. Separation of powers. So like what we've been going through for over a year, the executive branch has exercised powers that properly belong to the legislature. And then in reality, those powers still don't exist in the sense that it's been exercised, like shutting down businesses. No. You can't just arbitrarily shut down a business, executive branch, or the legislature. You have to have a right to a cause of action to take that action. Well, the legislature doesn't have a cause of action. They can't have a cause of action because they're all servants. Somebody has to have status and standing to claim their right to a cause of action and instruct their representatives in the legislature by and through a petition to revoke the business license, to shut that down, because that's another one of our rights. The right of petition, which is what it's on the screen right now, which is something that Chris and I have been studying and teaching over the last 4.5 years. When we go back up to this right here, where it talks about the history of the right to petition, we'll all be darned. It goes clear back to the Magna Carta, and even before that. It is chiefly by means of petitions that the people, in their character of constituents, are brought into communication with the two houses of Parliament, especially with the House of Commons, as their representatives. So far as the legislative body is elective, so far the constituents, by their votes for particular candidates, express their opinion of public measure and policy. Policy, not law. That's a remonstrance, one. But anyways, public measures, right? In certain cases also, and to the certain extent for the particular purposes, they have the power to instruct their representatives. Oh, well, I'll be darned. How do we exercise? Come on. My mouse is messing with me here. Right here. Article 1, Section 10. This is the Declaration of Rights. This is the law being laid down prior to instituting government. The people shall have the right to assemble in a peaceable manner, to consult for their common good, to what? To instruct their representatives. Now, like math, we read everything backwards to check it, right? And to petition the legislature for the redress of grievances. So we petition the legislature for the redress of grievances is how we call them into assembly. Why would we call them into assembly by petition? Well, so we can consult for our common good, and so we can instruct them to discharge the duties of their office. We dictate to them because they're the servants and they're on the clock. They're getting paid. It's what they're there for. To act in defense of our rights, which is what I was talking about today down at the Idaho Capitol. Okay. Here's where we're at. Here's the law of the land. If you're a corporation, public or private, so this gets rid of that loophole of, well, we're private. We're private. I don't care if you are or not. you're acting in interstate or foreign commerce, you're receiving subsidies from Medicaid and Medicare from Title 4E of the Social Security Act. You're being subsidized. You're in the public. You might be allegedly privately owned, but you're a matter of public business because you receive public funds and you're open to the general public. So, right here, and the policy powers of the state shall never be abridged or so construed as to permit corporations, now again, public or private, to conduct their business in such manner as to infringe the equal rights of individuals or the general well-being of the state, the people, our state of being free and equal and having the liberty of conscience. I've got a grievance with some public or private corporations that are operating their business here in Idaho that make a policy. Again, it is not a mandate. Mandates are from the judicial branch to a lower court. This is corporate policy, claiming they have the authority to conduct their business in such a manner that would infringe on the right of being free and equal and having the liberty of conscience to think for ourselves. That infringes on those rights. So therefore, we have a cause of action to revoke your business license. And that's done through the legislature. Another one of those rights. See, all political power, all of it is inherent in the people, not government. They're the servants. They give up their sovereignty, right? When they become an elected official, they become a citizen. That's the Law of Nations written by Amar D. Patel. Definition of that. What a citizen is, those that are bound. Well, that's back to Article 6, Clause 3. Are you an individual or member of the legislature, executive, or judicial branch of our form of government? Because if you're not, then you're not bound by it or anything that they create. There's no personal jurisdiction. So we have the right to demand through a petition. That's how we make our demands, right? It's a political lawsuit. And it's how we exercise the right of political power. But you have to have a certain status and standing as one of the people. See, government is instituted for their equal protection and benefit. This goes right back to Hill versus Henkel. And they have the right to alter, reform, or abolish the same whenever they may deem it necessary. Now, go back to the Declaration of Independence for a second. We don't want to abolish our government because, like it says in the Declaration of Independence, we don't do that for light and transient causes. What we want to do is enforce the law that we laid down, ordained, and established, not enactments of the legislature. That's not law. So, what it says here, this is the part we need to comprehend. And no special privileges. Okay, that business license is a privilege because it's a privilege to do business in our communities. And the only way, right, that shall ever be granted that may not be altered, revoked, or repealed by the legislature. See that? That says legislature, not executive, not judicial. This is our right to a republican form of government and due process of law. So, in order to what? Revoke or repeal created these hospitals that have their policy, their business practices here that are infringing on our rights. Those people that are being infringed upon are the ones that have a cause of action. Now, you have to go to the legislature for the redress of those grievances and to revoke their business license. This is what I'm trying to get through to people here in Idaho. What I am willing to do is write that petition, but I don't have a cause of action because I'm not a medical professional. I don't have anybody telling me that, well, it's our policy. If you don't get the vaccine by September 1st, then you're fired. Well, you don't have the authority to dictate to me my medical health. How weird it is that you're a hospital and you're supposed to be telling, are supposed to be, providing services that do not cause injury, loss, or harm to the people. Okay. You can't make that policy. Oh, well, it's part of the job. No, it is not. You're forcing your policy onto the people, and you're a corporation, and corporations are fictions. They don't actually exist. They only exist on paper, which is a business license that the legislature authorized you to create. And when we get to the point where your business practices come in conflict with our rights, you're fired. We're revoking your privilege to do business in our community. Okay. So now we should all have this down, right? Should all know this by now, right? We go to the legislature for the redress of grievances, not the judicial branch. Right of petition. Article the first, or First Amendment. Article the first. This is that right of petition. And then we have Article 4, Section 4, guaranteed Republican form of government to protect us from invasion on application or petition to the legislature or the executive if the legislature cannot be convened. So if you file a petition to the legislature and they don't convene, they don't assemble so that you can consult for our common good and instruct our representatives to revoke their business license, we go straight to the executive branch. This is a political argument, not a judicial one. The judicial branch does not have jurisdiction in any way, shape, or form. That's not what the judicial branch has jurisdiction over. Sorry, but not sorry. Because the letter of the law says so. And you don't have the authority to alter that. That's in the Declaration of Independence as a declared act of tyranny, fundamentally altering our form of government and subjecting us to pretended acts of legislation. Period. So this was discussed in Luther versus Borden, that the Supreme Court established the doctrine that questions arising under this section are political, not judicial in character, and that it rests with Congress to decide what government is the established one in a state, as well as its Republican character. That's the legislature that does that. not the judicial branch. And then we get into Texas v. White. Again, this is very enlightening, folks, because this is exactly what's going on right now. Held that the action of the president in setting up provisional governments at the conclusion of the war was justified, if at all, only as an exercise of his powers as commander-in-chief, and that such governments were to be regarded merely as provisional regimes to perform the functions of government pending action by Congress. And in this instance, today, well, the conclusion of the war that's been going on since 1861 is indeed and in fact coming to an end. And Trump is the actual president. What has he been doing since 2017? He's been setting up provisional government. And this is why I keep telling people there are two things going on at the same time. Now, for those of you that watched Friday, that second Declaration of Independence is coming, lays all this out of what's really been going on. And it doesn't explain all of it, which I covered that, but the gist of it's there. And as of June 30th, London, the city of London, one of the Tri-City States corporation, has been terminated as of June 30th. Bye-bye, corporation, city of London. So Vatican, London, and DC are down. For those of you that have been paying attention, the military took over DC. We go back to the Geneva Convention and the law of war, and the what is it? The Lieber Code. Okay, imagine that being in effect right here, right now, today, because it is. And it's one of the powers that properly belongs to the president as commander-in-chief to do everything that he is doing, did everything that he has done. Okay. So I know a lot of people are sitting here going, well, dang it, come on, let's go, let's get this done. Well, there's a lot to take care of. You got to take down the deep state. Okay. And June 30th, finally, London is down. Now, this is the real panic, because they know it's coming. Exactly, Fruit Monkey. Lots of moving parts. Remember, this has been going on for, well over 150 years. But I'll tell you, it's been going on a lot longer than that. And again, clear back to 400 BC. This isn't new. This isn't even new in the last 150 years, because think about what they wrote in the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration for the Causes and Necessity of Taking Up Arms in the Second Continental Congress, right? 1775. So this is what's coming. This is what's been in the works. It's been slow. It takes some time, right? But this has slowly been in the works and taken things down. And that was the whole point behind Trump's executive order, going after those involved in serious human rights violations, human trafficking, and corruption, December 20th, 2017. Okay. This is what's going on. This is what's really going on. And again, one, Trump did the executive order to release to the heads of the executive departments. Let me just pull that one up because I'm pretty sure I have that one. Oh, maybe I don't. Wait. No, I got the proclamation. I got this one here. This is the one that we're actually acting under, right? This is the Joint Task Force on Consumer Fraud, Market Integrity, Corruption. See all these attorney generals that Trump created? This goes right back to what I was just telling you, that the president has these powers to set up provisional government. This is the provisional government that Trump is setting up for us to use. Look at all these attorney generals. Criminal division, civil division, tax division, antitrust division, the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigations, United States attorneys designated by the Attorney General, and such other officers or employees of the Department of Justice as the Attorney General may from time to time designate. This is in every single state, folks. This task force. The task force. We seeing this together? We tying these together? This is that Declaration of Independence, Second Declaration of Independence. Having exposed the greatest heist and cover up in history, we are able to summarize America and its assets were quietly hijacked, and the cover up has resulted in unthinkable crimes against the people and humanity. That's this one. Executive order blocking the property of persons involved in serious human rights abuse or corruption. By the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, not the United States, Inc. Notice how he cites the law, public law, and the Constitution, Article 4, Section 4. Ooh, and Title 3, right. Find that the prevalence and severity of human rights abuse and corruption that have their source in whole or in substantial part outside the United States, such as those committed or directed by persons listed in the annex to this order, have reached such scope and gravity that they threaten the stability of international political and economic systems. This is a worldwide executive order. Worldwide. Devastating. Let's see. Human rights abuse and corruption undermine the values that form an essential foundation of stable, secure, and functioning societies, have devastating impacts on individuals, weaken democratic institutions, degrade the rule of law. Perpetual violent crimes facilitate the activities of dangerous persons like, I don't know, Antifa, and undermine economic markets. The United States seeks to impose tangible and significant consequences on those who commit serious human rights abuse or engage in corruption, as well as to protect the financial system of the United States from abuse by these same persons. What's this one about again? The task force? Criminal division? Antitrust division? And the tax division. Those are 3 divisions of this task force. Which one do you want to file your complaints with? Right now, I'm aware of this one. The criminal division. So this right here is Trump setting up those provisional government. I thought I had the one. No, dang it. Unless I put it in the other one. Let's see. Nope. I swear I had it though. I gotta have it here somewhere. So the one I wanted to talk about, I would actually like to show you, but is the one where Trump put out the executive order releasing to the heads of the executive departments the truth behind JFK's assassination. That's right. They've all been told the truth, the heads of the executive departments. And this is why I said back when he did that, I'm like, Trump is picking up where JFK left off. Trump ain't messing around. And then we have this one. March 1st, 2018. Amendments to the Manual for Courts Martial, Military Tribunals under Admiralty Jurisdiction. And remember, all of these are, well, not all of it. What he put in here is are amended as described in Annex 1, which is attached to and made part of this order. He has the power to do that. Now, after anything that they do after January 1st, 2019, they could be sentenced to death because that was part of the thing they altered. They altered the fact that, oh, well, treason no longer is punishable by as a capital offense. They did that to protect themselves because they knew where they were committing treason. But see, Trump changed all that back and made it all effective January 1st, 2019. So, again, Trump at his inauguration speech said he was putting the power back into the people's hands. What power was that again? Do we remember that? That would be that all political power. The right to alter, reform, or abolish anything at any time. Abolish the same whenever they may deem it necessary. Anybody else out there at this particular point deem it necessary to, I don't know, abolish certain business licenses? We need to get active in our independent, individual, sovereign states, right? I cannot do this for everybody, although there are some things that I'm working on that is going to be for everybody. But the fact is, see, there it is. You got to get local. It starts at where we're at. We need to do this at a local level. We got to work from the ground up, from the bottom up. Trump's got the top down. We need to work from the bottom up. We need to clean up our states. The plug in the drain has been pulled. It's up to us to clean it up and push it, the crap down the drain. And he put all this provisional government at the end of the war because Trump's ending the war. Right? If you take out your enemy, we can't be at war with them no more. And again, how many declarations of peace has Trump done for other countries and nations? Why do you think he did that? Because he's ending the war. So when are we going to start doing it? When are you going to start doing it? Somebody ought to do something about this, to quote Carl Miller. Be a somebody. This is our time. It's time for us to claim this power that's supposed to be inherent in the people. We're not supposed to be ruled over. We're supposed to be self-governed. And there's a process that's due. This is the key part. They're bad actors. We all know this. But there's still a process that is due to them because they're still just a man, right? So it's up to us to do something about it. And we have to follow due process of law or we lose. That's been part of the problem. Well, why haven't so-and-so been held accountable? Well, because somebody didn't follow due process of law and they know what their right to due process of law is and they get out of it. Not only that, the deep state's got lots of foxes guarding the hen house. Remember that? Where is it? Ah, right here. With millions of dollars at their disposal every year from taxing our labor, the owners of the U.S. Corp fund leftist nonprofit groups, including the Council on Foreign Relations, that work to subvert There's that word subvert, subversion of law. Subvert our nation and silence anyone in opposition. They ingratiate whatever the officials with and administrators who run the largest charities and organizations, including the AMA, the APA, the CDC, the FCC, the SEC, and the FDA. And they embed operatives in the State Department, the Department of Justice, and the intelligence agencies, official and covert, including the NSA, FBI, and CIA. See, some of you are seeing the change that's coming. This child pedophilia ring stuff, it's starting to come out. All right, right on, Joe. Well, it's time, folks. This is our time. We have to tell on them. I mean, that's where we're at. We got to tell on them. Whatever case you got going on, if you got a case, I guarantee you can fill out a criminal complaint because they ain't following due process of law. They're violating your rights. It's probably half the reason why you're here right now, because you want to figure out what's the remedy and relief, because nobody else is teaching it. I don't know how many times Chris and I have heard that over the years. And I didn't want to believe it at first, but I'm telling you now, 4.5 years later down the road, we're at the same place. Nobody else is teaching this. Right? Yeah. FBI building is supposedly empty. A lot of those buildings in DC are empty because DC's been shut down. It's one of the Tri-City states, remember? District of Columbia. And they know it's coming. And there's such a huge panic. They think that, oh, well, we'll just run this, we'll just do a rerun. And claim this new, this new thing coming out. Well, you can't even prove the original thing even exists. I'm sorry if that people don't want to agree with me on that one, but show me, kind of a show me kind of guy. Show me that thing exists that you say that exists. Because as far as I'm aware, there's been a request made. And, that place right there. I know it might be hard to see, but this place right here. There was a request made to them for proof of its existence. Whoops. Yeah, we don't have a viable sample. But if you're saying that it exists and you're taking all these actions to allegedly protect us worldwide, then you would have to at least have a sample. It's because it doesn't exist. It's all shmew. And right here, they're operatives. They're the ones that are doing this. This is all a trickery, a scheme, scam, and a fraud. Yeah, right, George Carlin? It's a big club and you ain't in it. That's right. Well, now the club's being dismantled, been taken down. Now is the time to claim our rights, to claim our power, and start removing these bad actors from duty and take back our republic. It's the only way it's going to happen. Okay. Who are the real criminals? We have law, and then we have color of law. We have law, and we have pretended acts of legislation that we'll call bills of attainder and bills of pains and penalty. Right? Well, the Bible does say 365 times, thou shalt not fear. Hmm. Yeah. Well, they're trying. And again, I try to reiterate there's two different things going on at the same time. You got the deep state, and you got the de jure, the de facto versus the de jure. And again, it just takes time. There's a lot of stuff to have taken care of in a short period of time that Trump was managed to be able to do it, all while trying to fend off the deep staters trying to take him out because they knew what he was doing. They knew he was coming for him. They discussed it out there in Davos. We got to stop Trump. If we don't stop Trump, we're all screwed. Just like HC said, oh man, we don't stop him and he takes me down, you're all going down. I got news for you. She was recently taken down. Just saying. So we're going to do this or what? We're just going to sit around and wait for somebody else to do it. Again, I keep trying to get people to get organized in your local area. Find people to work with, at least at a state level. Need people in the same state working together to do that because you got to have the status and standing. Now, the criminal complaint side, yeah, they like their prosecution by information. Well, why don't you inform them about these crimes that these people are committing against you? Yep. You said it, Karen. I believe that to be true. So are we ready to take back our country? We ready to take back our nation called America here? Military tribunals, March 1st of 2018. This stuff came effective, right? January 1st, 2019. I didn't write it. Trump did. Trump made those amendments for a reason. He made them effective January 1st, 2019 for a reason. And this, again, all goes back to one little clause in the Constitution, right? And then what I'm thinking is we're going to have some emergency elections. Now, I have previously heard, I know one was a senator, I think one was a senator, and there was somebody else. Two different high up officials made the comment or the inclination that we were going to have emergency elections. There may be a time where we have to come a time where we have to have emergency elections. Imagine that. So here we are. This is what's really going on. Has been going on for quite some time. Been trying to educate the people as this stuff came out. As these executive orders came out, I was putting them out there. I've laid the executive order stuff out several times. So we're gonna need people to step up to the plate, aren't we? We're gonna need people to step up and run for public office in our new government. How many people out there are prepared for that? I mean, think about it. No, I'm sorry, but the Anavon Rights Assembly crap, that's a deep stater trick. I've seen the paperwork. I have the paperwork. Her allegiance is to the Pope, Vatican. It's all a scheme, scam, and a fraud to get people back in. To get back in under that. Those assemblies are not lawful. I can guarantee you that. So, all that fraudulent paperwork you did, well, I don't know what other assemblies you could create because the president's the one that's in charge. and beings were taking down the deep state, the corporation, and Trump's in the middle of setting up a provisional government until Congress can be assembled. Well, now that'd have to be up to the president now, wouldn't it? Yes, I've talked about Russell J. Gould. I don't know about Russell, right? I don't 100% believe or agree with everything that Russell puts out. Because again, back to the Declaration for the Causes and Necessity of Taking Up Arms, one of the reasons in there was extending admiralty and vice admiralty beyond its ancient limits in 1775. Okay, that they were extending admiralty jurisdiction onto the land. And in 1845, this is what the Civil War was really about, was the fact that Congress extended admiralty jurisdiction onto the land again by a congressional act. And the people weren't having any of it. That's right. Yeah. Well, all I'm aware of is the Declaration of Independence says we're all creations of God and we're endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. That's a declaration laying down the law. And if you don't comprehend that, and that's all supposed to be self-evident, that's on you. And anything that comes in conflict with that would be void for any effect for fraud. Why would I have to actively engage in the fraud to get out of the fraud? I don't. The Declaration does it for me. This is why Trump talks about the Declaration of Independence. This is why Trump talks about going back to 1776. That's why it's in that second Declaration of Independence. It's a corporate Ponzi scheme through the birth certificate and social security number in the all capital letters name. That's written in gloss, not a language, not sign language, as in here's your sign language. It's not an actual language. Okay. So anytime you see all capital letters, that's not the English language. It's not proper English. It's fraud. So that's part of the stuff that I don't agree with. Anybody who writes those documents using all capital letters and hyphens and colons and full colon this and full colon that and hyphen full, you're full of shit, dude. All of you. I call bullshit. And then try to assign numerical numbers, which, I get alphanumeric. You're right. I get that. But to try and take the English language and apply certain numbers to certain, like a noun and a verb and blah, 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 and then organize it by those numbers, how do you know which one to assign to which? And do this quantum grammar that you write in all capital letters, which isn't the English language. So it's fraud. From its inception, it's void for any effect. Nice try, but doesn't pass muster. Sorry. So again, I'll go back to what my grandpa used to say. Only believe half of what you hear, or what is it? Don't believe any of what you hear and only half of what you see. Okay. And so the half that we're supposed to be believing out there is not true. It's all a show. It's all being played out. It's all being acted out. Some of it's on TV sets, old movie sets. It's not really at the White House, because we all know the military surrounded all of DC with 3 fences. How in the heck were they doing anything at the White House with the military there? They can't. That's why it's a show, and only believe half of what you see. And right about now, I wouldn't hardly believe any of what you see out there regarding our alleged government that's going on right now since, that day. I wouldn't believe any of it. It's all a setup. Right? It's all to induce fear. Well, again, folks, go outside, take a look around. Do you see all that crap on TV going on outside? I don't. The only really stupid, crazy ass stuff that I see going on right now is a bunch of people fearing something that doesn't actually exist. And a bunch of people that are supposed to be public servants, albeit a de facto terminated, foreclosed corporation that doesn't have any power anymore, is all just in limbo, trying to dictate to their masters, the people, what our rights are and how we exercise those rights. So, you as a business owner out there, don't abide by that crap. And just so everybody knows, if you run into a business and wants to buy into that, quit going to that business. Not only that, go straight to the legislature and revoke their business license and shut them down. What are we waiting for? Start shutting down the businesses that are buying into this crap and shut it down. That's how we do that in our republic. All political power is inherent in the people. Yes, Bobby. We're going to need thousands of people to have a proper quorum. So, like I was reading there, until Congress can be assembled, the president gets to set up the provisional government. And make no mistake, we are under martial law. This is that state of emergency. Well, Trump already declared by executive order states of emergency. But again, we've been at war since 1861. That war has never ended. Where's the Declaration of Peace? Where's the Treaty of Peace between Great Britain and America? No, they sold us out, created a corporation. Well, corporations don't have the power to make law now, do they? They can only make bylaws. Oh, that's right. Every single state, they're all corporations. They've been incorporated into the corporation. So they don't have the power to make law, which is why they keep, with like in Idaho, making amendments to the Idaho Code, which is the bar shmew. That's that no man or set of men are entitled to separate emoluments. Yeah. When you have, like in Idaho, 3 members of the bar who are writing the Idaho Code and publishing that as the law of the state of Idaho, that's what our founders were talking about. The Constitution dictates that the legislature is supposed to create the statutes and regulations to regulate corporations, public and private, not the people. See Hale versus Henkel in the private. And then it's supposed to be published by the Secretary of State. Well, again, here's what I got published by our Secretary of State. In that, published by the Secretary of State. Well, I'll be darned, that doesn't say Idaho Code. This is the law. Because this is the only thing the Secretary of State publishes. They don't publish the Idaho Code. Because the Idaho Code is not the law. See Peterson versus Peterson, Idaho Supreme Court. Judge Eisman, 2014. He exposed the bar for the fraud that it is. One heck of a opinion there. He lays out the inception of the bar in Idaho, from the date it started, how it infiltrated our form of government, how it's fundamentally altering our form of government through time. I mean, he lays it all out. And remember, the American Bar Association wasn't created till when? 1878. What did we ever do for assistance of counsel before the American Bar Association came in? I know, right? This is the thing right here. Tony out here says people got to see how bad things will get before they will welcome a solution. Trump back. No one will believe it until it's right in their backyard. That's the thing is people. It seems like people have these blinders on, right? And they're a bunch of order followers. They go to work, they pay their taxes, and they come home, and everything seems fine. And they don't see the corruption going on around them because it's not happening to them. So it doesn't exist. You're crazy. You're insane. That's not really happening. They wouldn't really do that because they've been brainwashed and indoctrinated into believing that. That's social control versus domestic tranquility. And so this is the problem. And when we talk about waking people up, we need the people to wake up. We need enough people to wake up and do something versus, oh yeah, there's corruption over there. I had a conversation with some people and, oh, well, you're not a member of the bar, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, how about we start here? One of my first questions I like to ask people, are you aware of any corruption within government? Let's start there. Because if you're not aware of any corruption, then you have a whole lot to learn. Period. And that's what needs to be woken up, is realizing how corrupt things are. But how are you going to know how corrupt things are if you don't know how it's supposed to be? This is the problem I have with certain people out there that don't teach how it's supposed to be, what our rights actually are, including the right to petition the legislature for the redress of grievances and how that right works. What are our rights to a Republican form of government? How about not erecting a multitude of new offices and sending hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out our substance? Policy officers, CPS, social workers, de facto kangaroo courts, Domestic Violence Act, the Violence Against Women Act. No, you can't redefine what domestic violence is. The fact that you did that is actually domestic violence. That's internal insurrection, an attempt to overthrow the Constitution and war against the people. That's exactly what they've done. Huh. Well, I'll be darned. So, red pill makes you taller. Yep. Click your heels 3 times and say, I want to go home. It's the rule of 3. So, for those of you that have helped provide support over here, I greatly appreciate you and thank you for your love and your kindness and your support, your prayers. And I ask for more prayers in our endeavors about what we're about to do over here in Idaho. So, of course, pray for everybody, of course, but uh, I always try to put on that hedge of protection and the full armor of God when I go out. But if you'd like to help support the channels here and keep this education going out here, you can send stuff over to the office. I've actually possibly have found a way to get back to digital side for donations digitally. I need to look into it a little more, see if it actually is usable by me or not. But over at the office, 6477 Fairview Avenue, Suite C, as in Charlie, Boise, Idaho, 83704. Now, don't forget to get over there on kirkslawcorner.com to download those library stuff, right? Treatise on arrest and false imprisonment, all that good stuff that's over there. As well as over on Patreon. Patreon.com/Kirk's Law Corner. That's where we're doing the Wednesday night workshop. Now, we had a really good meeting Wednesday night. Although it was almost 5 hours long, which I try to want to keep it to about 2 hours. It went almost 5 hours. I laid out quite a bit of stuff. I'm pretty sure a lot of people over there learned a little bit that night as I laid things out. And it's growing more and more. And again, we're working on school stuff to open the school, to get us to school going here in Idaho. So that's in the works. I got lots of things going on all at once here. So forgive me if I don't get back to your messages or respond to your calls for help on an individual basis. I literally just don't have the time. So for those of you asking me to give me your time on an individual basis to, just talk to you on an individual basis, that's pretty difficult. With everything that I have going on, everything I have on my plate, I'm here Mondays and Friday nights. I'm over here on Patreon on Wednesday nights, with everything I got going on at the office, everything we got, my team and I are doing here in Idaho, 3 personal cases of my own, and a couple of other cases that I'm helping people educate them and this, providing the assistance of counsel, whether they like it or not. And everything else I got going on to take all that crap down. So don't think I'm ignoring you. I literally just do not have the time. So your best bet is here or on Patreon. So if you're not getting what you need from here, then you might want to get on Patreon. Okay. And then you'll get a little bit more of undivided attention from me on Wednesday nights. Okay. Other than that, you can get on the Telegram channel, which I'm still trying to figure out Telegram here. And I figured out today there's a difference between what's called a channel and a group. I was always trying to figure out how certain channels out there, you couldn't make any comments on there at all. Then make a comment on a specific post and it says leave comment and it goes under that post. So I've revamped the KLC Media group. I created the channel KLC Media Group News. That's the channel. So when I make a post on there, you'll want to join that Telegram channel. And then when you make a comment on that, that goes over to the group. So that's apparently that's how that works. So in order, because I've turned off comments in the KLC Media group, I know it's going to be a little confusing there, but part of my business license is doing business as KLC Media Group. So not to confuse KLC Media Group with the groups on Telegram, but hopefully you got that without getting too confused. So you want to be in the channel, Kirk's Law Corner, it's KLC Media Group News. That's the channel. Then you're going to want to be over here in the group so that you can do the discussion. And I actually added discussion. So that's the discussion group. And there's the channel. So there's a channel and the group. So you all can figure that out and make sure that that works. That's the best I can do for right now. I'm actually wanting somebody to test that out. Now I tested it. I made a comment on one of my posts and it showed up over in the group. So for me, it worked. Now I would like to see somebody else try it. And I think there's only like 4 or 5 people in there that have joined now. So for those of you that are in the Telegram group, you should see the message in there that says, hey, join this channel. So you want to join the channel so you can make the comments. Because the reason why I'm doing that is because in the group there, just like in my study group on Facebook, I don't allow memes or videos. I want law stuff there, or in this case, newsworthy things or educational things from me to you. Okay. So I don't want all that getting filled up with a bunch of spam. Whether you think it needs to be there or not is irrelevant. What needs to be there is education and news about what's really going on. And so that's what I'm providing over there on Telegram. So again, thanks for everybody out here for your likes, your follows, your shares, subscriptions, thumbs up, and your support of all. And as people behind the scenes here, want to thank those people there, because none of this can really be made to happen without them. I'm only one man. I can only do so much. So I'm very thankful for those that are behind the scenes, the team at the office, and the team that's here right now. So much love to everybody out there. Thank you for being here, wanting to learn. You are true patriots, whether you're from America or not. So I don't want to exclude patriots from around the world or across the world, however you look at it, however you think it is. So I don't want to limit to just American patriots, because this is worldwide patriots. All right. Much love to y'all out there. Thank you for being here, and we will catch you on Monday night. Wait, it is Monday night. Wednesday night for Patreon, and Friday night fun night. All right. So much love, everybody. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see you when we see you. Good night, everybody.